What was the purpose with which Sir William Wedderburn and W.S. Kane had set up the Indian Parliamentary Committee in 1893? To agitate for Indian political reforms in the House of Commons, to campaign for the entry of Indians into imperial judiciary, to facilitate a discussion on India's independence in the British Parliament. 1893, India's independence in British Parliament, never heard of. To agitate for the entry of eminent Indians in the British Parliament. Should the answer? That is for political reforms, we can say. It's majorly for political reforms for India in the House of Commons in British Parliament. And these three people, William Wedderburn, W.S. Kane and Dadabhai Naoroji. So along with Dadabhai Naoroji, so they established Indian Parliamentary Committee to fight for India's political reform. That's what Dadabhai Naoroji spent most of his time outside India, particularly in London, to agitate for India's reforms, to agitate for Indian reforms, to welfare of Indians. Okay, now we'll discuss these two personalities. William Wedderburn, he was a judge in India, various courts across India, one of the presidents of INC also in Bombay session 1889, okay, then in Allahabad session 1910, okay, Allahabad session 1910. So he was a judge and he fought for Indians' rights. So Bombay session president, then again Allahabad session president in 1910. Then William S. Kane, that is, he was a British politician. He wrote a book on India, that is Picturesque India in 1890. Okay, Picturesque India in 1890. So far we discussed from the beginning of the coming of the Europeans, and then we talked about certain policies of the British government, and then we talked about certain personalities, then social religious reform movement, certain themes we discussed, and then again 1857 revolt is a theme we discuss, occupation is a theme we discuss, and now we are coming into freedom movement after the establishment of Indian National Congress. And that is after during freedom movement there is 5 mass movements for that. That is Swadeshi movement, Home Rule League movement, then again non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, and then again we will talk about Quit India movement. So all the 5 movements we are going to discuss, because either one, at least in one of the questions, in few of the questions, that is all of them were in some kind of answer options too. Okay, so first movement was the Swadeshi movement. Okay, so the Swadeshi movement, that question was asked, so many questions were asked from this particular theme. That is 2016 one question was asked. The Swadeshi and boycott were adopted as a methods of struggle from the first time during the agitation against the partition of Bengal, Home Rule movement, okay, non-cooperation movement, and then again visit of the Simon Commission to India. Okay, so this question is asked separately, why Indians boycotted Simon Commission, that question repeated. Okay, non-cooperation movement, not many questions have been asked about that one, but we will see non-cooperation movement, we will see Home Rule movement, we will see partition of Bengal. Okay, that moment, that is a Swadeshi movement. So first and foremost, the answer option is A, because it is adopted during the time period of 1905 to 1919, or the second phase of the Indian national movement, that is the extremist phase, and that extremist phase coincided with the launch of Swadeshi movement. Okay, in 2023 also one Swadeshi question was also asked. We will check whether I have added it or not. With reference to Swadeshi movement, consider the following statement. 2019, it contributed to the revival of the indigenous artisan crafts industries. Swadeshi is all about make in India. Okay, so that is giving more preference to made in India products during that point of time, that they want to boycott the British products and gave massive importance to Indian made goods. So that was there. National Council of Education was also established part of Swadeshi movement. Yes, with Aurobindo Ghosh and then again Subhash Chandra Bose. All these people were involved in establishment of National Council of Education. Then again, which of the following statement given above is correct? That's 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2. Okay, neither 1 nor 2. And the answer is C. Okay, both 1 and 2. So indigenous, Swadeshi, it is indigenous industries and indigenous education system, also National Council of Education. Okay, then again one more. 2014 question. Partition of Bengal made by Curzon in 1905 lasted until the First World War, when Indian troops were needed by the British and the partition was ended. King George V abrogated Curzon's Act, the Royal Darbar in Delhi. Okay, there were 3 Royal Darbars for there, and that is in 1877 one. Okay, and then again 1905 one and 1911 one during Lytton, during Curzon, okay, during Ardinge. So all these are, so this is when that particularly ended. That is partition of Bengal made by Curzon ended in 1905. Okay, so Gandhiji launched his civil disobedience movement. Okay, then a partition of India in 1947. Okay, all these things nothing. Answer option is 2. Okay, and it's the only darbar where King George, monarch of England, visited India. Only darbar attended by monarch. Again, look at one more question. What was a major reason for a split in Indian National Congress at Surat? Because that is also related to Swadeshi movement itself in 1997. Then again, introduction of communalism into Indian politics by Minto. Extremist lack of faith in the capacity of moderates to negotiate with the British government. Foundation of the Muslim League, it was happened in 1906. Okay, then Aurobindo Ghosh's inability to be elected as a president of the Indian National Congress. So it's always the ideologies what we discussed about, and that is moderates, extremists, and Gandhian ideology. They are nothing but these are different ideologies which inspired Indian National Congress. There is a moderates ideology between 1885 to 1905. Then again, extremist ideology between 1905 to 1919, and then again, lastly, Gandhian ideology between 1919 to 1947. So these are the ideologies that influence. This ideology is nothing but that. Particularly moderates and extremist ideology were in conflict with each other. So extremists suspected the ability of moderates, and that is one of the major reasons. We'll discuss that topic also, why that happened. Answer option is B, because extremists felt like moderates do not have any ability to negotiate with the Britishers, and they're not bringing any kind of reforms either. Okay, and now look at that one again. 2015, which one of the following movements has contributed to a split in Indian National Congress, resulting in the emergence of moderates and extremists? Same thing, that is Surat split, Swadeshi movement, Quit India movement, non-cooperation, civil disobedience movement. Like Surat split is major related to Swadeshi movement. Okay, answer option. Look at that one. How many times this particular theme has been repeated? Surat split, Swadeshi, boycott. Then again, when Swadeshi movement ended, or when the partition of Bengal ended. And again, one more related to this particular phase, that particularly the extremist phase. And this is kind of a little bit out of the blue question. That is, he wrote biographies of Mazzini, Garibaldi, Shivaji, and Sri Krishna. Stayed in America for some time, and was also elected to Central Assembly. He was Lajpat Rai, because he went to America to establish Indian Home Rule League Society in America. First he was deported to Burma in 1997, and then again he went to America. So he stayed there for a while, then he came back, then he elected through Swarajis to National Assembly, the Central Legislative Assembly. So that was, because this phase we also talk about all these individuals also, Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, Aurobindo Ghosh, Motilal Nehru. We'll talk through Nehru Committee. That question is also asked. Nehru Committee question asked way back in again 2011 or 2012. We'll see that question. Now, this is the extremist phase that we're talking about, 1905. Okay, so 1905 to 1919. Because the moderate phase we discussed, that is the establishment of Indian National Congress, and then again William Whittamban, and then again we talked about Indian National Social Conference, Kane, and then again we also talked about Dadabhai Naoroji. So that formulated moderate phase. And now we are coming into extremist program. So what is extremist program? First we need to understand what is the moderates program. Moderates are very simple. That is prayer, petitions, and protests, constitutional method, gradualism. They wanted to achieve Indian freedom gradually. Belief in British. Okay, belief in British. Then again, no mass movement. In our extremist program is directly opposite to moderates. First time we can talk about bold speeches, but what they're talking about is petitions. Okay, bold speeches, and giving very bold speeches to inspire the people. Personal sacrifice, like Tilak went to jail, Aurobindo Ghosh went to jail. Okay, Lajpat Rai was deported out of the country. Aurobindo Ghosh had to go to Pondicherry to leave the British India. So personal sacrifice. Then self-salvation. They believed in the ability of Indians to achieve the goals. So because moderates believed in the belief system of the Britishers, but extremists believed in that self-salvation. We can bring our own reforms. Then again, boycott. So why do we have to use British goods? So boycott the British goods, British schools and colleges. But they believed in British education system and everything. Then again, they believed in Swadeshi. Okay, so use Swadeshi goods instead of the British goods. Okay, and then passive resistance system I will come to. So then mass action, that is mass action not accepted by moderates, but mass action was accepted by extremists. So what is passive resistance is that one? That is passive resistance is directly related to, that is complete non-cooperation with British. Complete non-cooperation. And this was majorly advocated by Bipin Chandra Pal. And that is how complete non-cooperation through boycotts. Okay, and then again Swadeshi, use Indian goods. Okay, and boycott British schools, and then again colleges and their courts, their services, their industries and everything, and don't pay taxes. Okay, boycott paying taxes, everything. So boycott everything British. So make the administration impossible, and that is the major concept of passive resistance, and that directly in conflict with the moderate methods of the petitions and negotiations, having tea parties with Britishers. Okay, so that is the major differences, the major new undercurrents that came into Indian national movement from, we can say, 1905 onwards, and using religious symbols to attract masses. Tilak used Shivaji festival, Ganesha festival. Okay, so these kind of things were used during this point of time. That is extremist program. And lastly, using of vernacular and instead of English, like used by moderates, because English was not available to the common people. And so extremists want to rely upon Indian strengths. The Indian strength is Indian national languages, vernacular languages, we can say. Okay. And then again, Swaraj or self-rule, as Tilak and Aurobindo has put it. So that is Aurobindo Ghosh. For Aurobindo Ghosh, it's complete independence, and for Tilak, it is some sort of greater independence within British. It's not complete independence. Again, these extremist leaders like Lajpat Rai, Aurobindo Ghosh, then again Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, they had their own variations of Swaraj definition. But what is the Swaraj for moderates is that one, they wanted to achieve independence within the British Empire. And Tilak wanted greater independence, but he never defined what that greater independence is. And Aurobindo Ghosh, complete independence. We never wanted to be in the clutches of the British Empire. So that's what advocated by Aurobindo Ghosh. So these are some of the extremist program. So on the basis of this program, we are going to understand Swadeshi movement. So Swadeshi movement is a new undercurrent. Okay, so that is bold speeches, personal sacrifice, self-salvation, boycott, Swadeshi, passive resistance, mass action, action of the people, religious symbols to attract masses, then again vernaculars versus English, that is vernacular languages, then again Swaraj self-rule. So first we will see the individuals, the leaders of the extremist program, leaders of extremists, that is Lal Bal Pal. First Balagangadhar Tilak. Gandhiji called him as the maker of modern India, but one British journalist who used him in a derogatory sense, that is the father of Indian unrest, that is Valentin Chirul, to fight case against him. So Tilak went to Britain in 1917-18. Tilak went to Britain. He lost the case. Okay, so that is father of Indian unrest was called as such of Balagangadhar Tilak by a British journalist Valentin Chirul, and he wrote some books, that is Arctic Home in the Vedas. The Aryans came from Arctic, that is the belief system of Tilak. Then again Srimad Bhagavad Gita Rahasya in prison he wrote in, but he published in 1915, that is in Marathi language, and Arctic Home in the Vedas he wrote in English language. Okay, then again Tilak, he started 2 weeklies, very famous, Kesari, the Lion in Marathi, and Maharata in English. He established in 1880-1881, and the first editor of these papers was Gopala Ganesh Agarkar, G.G. Agarkar. And then again when Tilak arrested in 1897-1908, so he got arrested in 1897 because he wrote one poem called as Shivaji's Utterances. Shivaji's Utterances. Shivaji killed Afzal Khan. Okay. Afzal Khan of one of the Bahmani kingdoms. Okay, so Afzal Khan belonged to we can say Bijapur kingdom, and now he equated Shivaji with Indians, then Afzal Khan with Britishers. So that led to murdering of we can say a plague commissioner in Maharashtra. Okay, so that is the reason Tilak was arrested on the ground of sedition. In 1998, he got arrested because he defended the actions of Khudiram Bose and Prafulla Chakki, who tried to assassinate Judge Kingsford. Judge Kingsford. But instead of attacking Judge Kingsford, Khudiram Bose and Prafulla Chakki, they attacked unknowingly some British ladies. So now Tilak defended the actions of Khudiram Bose and Prafulla Chakki. That is the reason he got arrested. And later he was released in 1914 for 6 years he was in jail. So he was arrested in 1897 and 1998 for 2 different reasons. And of course sedition reason we can say. And again when he was in jail, that is Narasimha Chintaman edited Kesari on both the occasion, because Tilak was editing, but when Tilak was in jail, Narasimha Chintaman edited that particular thing and founded the All India Home Rule League also along with Annie Besant. We will discuss a Home Rule movement too in 1916 and 1918, and with the help of G.S. Kapade and Annie Besant. Okay, and then Tilak started Ganesha festival to preach nationalism. He started Shivaji festival to attract the youth in 1895, and then again of course in Kesari paper he wrote a poem Shivaji's Utterances led to the plague commissioner Rand murder in 1897. That is the reason he was arrested in 1897, like I already explained. So he was arrested in 1897 because of this particular reason. Then founded Deccan Education Society, then again New English School, Fergusson College in Pune 1885, Deccan Education Society 1884, and New English School in 1880. So these are some of the contributions of Tilak, and again some conservative views of Tilak also. Okay, so opposed the girls' education and supported Hindu Orthodox elements like child marriage, and he opposed intercaste marriages also. But one child marriage law he opposed is that Age of Consent Act. Age of Consent in 1891. Okay, and because he opposed this particular act, because this was brought with the efforts of B.M. Malabari, he said that one, that is Britishers should not involve in Indian matters. So who are Britishers to bring reforms in Indian society? So we will bring our own reforms. On that lines he opposed this one. and oppose intercaste marriages also. And these are some of the conservative views of Tilak. And lastly, that is he opposed age of consent. That's why I told you that's opposed age of consent on a different ground. Then again, Lajpat Rai, 1865-1928, Punjab Kesari, the Lion of Punjab. He wrote Story of My Deportation. Then England's Debt to India, and deported to Burma in 1997 after Swadeshi movement, during the time of Swadeshi movement, and without any trial, without any giving any kind of proper trial. In a democracy, the Britishers called themselves that is we are ruling in a democratic manner, but without any trial, he was deported to Burma. Then he went to USA. Okay, to get the global support for the Indian freedom movement, he went to USA and established Home Rule League of America in New York City in 1916-17. Home Rule League of America in New York City in 1916 and 17. Okay, and then he president of the All India Trade Union Congress, founder of the editor and founder of Arya Gazette magazine. Then again, president of Special Session of Calcutta in 1920, which approved the non-cooperation movement. NCM means non-cooperation movement. These are all factuals. Okay, so president of Special Session of Calcutta. Okay, at the same time, he was founder of Servants of People's Society in 1921. Then again, he's also associated with the Punjab National Bank and its management in 1921. The present Punjab Bank, we can talk about Punjab National Bank. And deputy leader of the House Assembly in 1926. Like that, deputy leader of Central Legislative Assembly in 1926. Then Bipin Chandrapal, 58-32, known as the father of revolutionary thoughts in India, and Aurobindo referred to as the mightiest prophet of nationalism in India. Advocated passive race, like I told about, complete non-cooperation with the Britishers. And of course, Gandhiji also carried forward the same ideal in a different way, that he organized the people better. There is the only difference between the ideals of extremism and Gandhiji, because he used the same techniques of extremism only, but the way he organized, how we channelized the energy of people was quite different. We'll see that one. And a progressive reformer, unlike Tilak, who was conservative. As a journalist, he worked with several newspapers like Bengal Public Opinion, New India, the Tribune. So these are newspapers with which Bipin Chandrapal worked with. Okay, and then we'll talk about some of the books he wrote: Nationality and Empire, Indian Nationalism, the Basis of Social Reform, and then again the Swaraj and the Present Situation. So all these are some of the factual details about Bipin Chandrapal. And one more book also he wrote, that is we can talk about The Soul of India. The Soul of India. So this is Bipin Chandrapal. Then Aurobindo Ghosh, one more extremist ruler, and he was imprisoned in 1998 in Alipur bomb case, that is Kingsford case, like talked about, that is Khudiram Bose and Prafulla Chaki, because they were inspired from Aurobindo Ghosh. Okay, so Bengal revolutionaries. He was imprisoned in 1998. Okay, then again he founded Sri Aurobindo Ashram 1926 in Pondicherry, because to escape from this particular case, that is Aurobindo Ghosh went to Pondicherry, because that was a French dominion. Then philosophy of divine life on earth through spiritual evolution, that is his philosophy, and he helped the establishment of Anushilan Samiti. Again, Ghosh, Khudiram Bose, Prafulla Chaki, they all belong to Anushilan Samiti. The activities of Anushilan Samiti, one of revolutionary societies in Calcutta in 1992. And Aurobindo Ghosh and his brother Barinder Kumar Ghosh, and they played a huge important role in inculcating some kind of revolutionary thoughts in Bengali youth. Then again, not just perhaps Bengali, perhaps entire India also. And English newspapers called Bande Matram, established in 1905. Again, revolutionary thoughts over in this particular book, in this newspaper. And one magazine is started. There is a magazine is called as Arya, in French as well as in English, in partnership with one of the French national, and that is Paul Richard, established in 1914. And again, certain poems he wrote. Greatest literary achievement is epic poem in English, that is Savitri. Okay, and inspired, developed one kind of spiritual yoga, that is also called as integral yoga. In the book, we can The Life Divine, that is written in English, The Life Divine. So in that particular book, he talked about that integral spiritual yoga.